79 here, so I don't know what 64 might feel like if it gets to 64. One big announcement, as you know, I've been president for 4 years, right? I probably overstepped my presidency here, but Jeremy's gonna take over. So. All right. So we'll look forward to that. So I really appreciate it.
Many months away still.
Yep, yep. And he complimented me, he said, "You're not stepping back, are you?" I said, no. Or what'd you say? "You're not leaving, are you?" I said, "That was your condition."
Yeah.
If I didn't, no way.
I said, no way.
No
Not
way.
if you're going to step down, you're not leaving.
I've told this story several times. I got into Toastmasters, probably one reason. I'm in sales, and I would leave voicemails for people, and I would go back, take the opportunity to replay that voicemail, so I could hear myself, and I would always hear, or I'd spit and sputter, or I would maybe mispronounce something. That was the main reason I got it.
Does it help?
90% of the time, yes.
Sing.
Yes. But there's times that it.
No, I meant
yeah.
you've gone back and you've improved.
Yeah, I think 90%. There's still times it doesn't. All right, so without further ado then, I guess I will just hand this off to our Toastmaster, Greg Lusko.
Welcome everybody. I think this is going to be a very fun meeting. It's going to be a little bit different, and you'll learn a little bit more about that in a little bit. The theme, that's not good. The theme of the meeting is set forth by Peggy, and she does an excellent job, even remotely. She does a great job putting together our schedules for us, is March comes in like a lion. Think forces of nature, don't be long-winded. Probably talking to me. But we all know the saying that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Anybody know where that's from, or how that your origination of that? Well, there's more than one guess as to where that comes from, but one of the top ones is the astrology. I guess Leo is on the rise in the beginning of March, and then Aries is on the rise in the middle, at the end of March, going into April. And then there's Christianity, who claims that Jesus was the sacrificial lamb, and it's more referring to that situation. And as we know, Easter is usually in late March, April. So that could be where it comes from. But I think this year that it came in like a lamb, and it certainly looks like it's going out like a lion, because the weather was very nice, very warm, and it's much harder to accept this winter weather when we have that nice weather. And it kind of reminds me of a poem, and here I'm testing the long-windedness, by Richard Wilbur, that talks about the very last storm of the year. And in the Northeast, that's usually late April. In fact, I was born on April 30th, and my mother every year calls me up, "It was snowing, there was a snowstorm on the day you were born." So, anyway, it goes like this. Some winters taking leave, deal us a last hard blow, salting the ground like Carthage, or it will go. But the bright milling snow which throngs the air today, it is a way of leaving so as to stay. The light flakes do not weigh the willows down, but sift through the white catkins, loose as petal drift, or in an updraft lift and glitter at a height, dazzling as summer's leaf stir, chinked with light. This storm, if I am right, will not be wholly over, till green fields here and there turn white with clover, and through still air the puffs of milkweed hover. So what I really like about that
Does he
poem,
do it?
what I really like about that poem is how he takes the white snow of winter, the cold white snow, and how that echoes at the end with the white clover, the milkweed floating in the air to the fields of clover of the hot summer. Very interesting. Anyway, with that being said, we have our evaluation team, and that is being led by Susan. So Susan, would you take over?
I have to say that March comes in like a lion without like a lamb to me, the reins of March Madness. You know, you start out March, you got all these great teams, and by the end of March, it's, you know, all you got is a
You're talking
scrubs.
about your bracket.
Your bracket's all blown. But I am looking forward to the women's team. I think it's gonna be better than the men's. So, we've got a great team of evaluators today. The timer is Catherine. Would you can stay seated because of, please let us know what you're gonna be doing and what the timing is for each.
Sure. For Jeremy, our first speaker, I'm gonna do the green at 10 minutes, yellow at 11 minutes, and the red at 12 minutes.
Okay.
And then for Ben, he has said 5, 6, and 7, and he's promised to give all of us his credit card number if he goes even over the 7 minutes. I think that's what he said.
That's what I heard.
Something like that.
That's the two of us heard, so it must be true.
Thank you. And the grammarian is Craig. You can
Yes.
stand up.
Can I?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Must.
My name's Craig Wademan. I've been here for a little bit, but getting back into the swing of things. I'll be looking at looking at eye contact, but in addition to their grammar, incomplete sentences, starting off so's, and also the word of the day. So today, the word of the day is alleviate. I'll give you a little brief definition: to reduce pain or trouble, to make something less painful, difficult, or severe, given the current things that we've been seeing on the news media and everything else. I think we could all use a little bit of alleviation here, if you will. Doctors try to alleviate the symptoms of suffering, find ways to alleviate stress. Government programs are intended to alleviate poverty. I'll leave that one as the definition that I've looked up online. I won't even dip my toe any more in that. So, anyway, there you have it.
Okay, thank you very much. And then our aha counter is Gina.
So this is my, third day here, and I'm gonna be the counter, so that more or less is the ahs, the ums, repeats, pauses, some nonverbal cues, so, sorry, I'm just repeating this, you knows. So I'll just be keeping track of that when everyone's speaking, so just be aware.
Okay, great, thank you. The next thing I have to do is to introduce the speakers, and I didn't get anything from either one of you gentlemen.
No, I will do that.
Okay, great. That's right.
Thank you, Susan.
I get my roles mixed up. Tell I've been away for a while.
And I'm gonna work to see if I can alleviate the noise.
Oh.
I think it's from the front.
Is it from? Yeah. Oh, right there.
A good spot for the word of the day.
Yeah, it's still gonna do it. Anyway, be mindful. Our first speaker is gonna be Jeremy Vitale, and like I said, Jeremy's gonna be doing something unique today. Whereas it should be a 5 to 7 minute speech, it's gonna be a 10 to 12 minute speech. Why is that? Because he's gonna have hecklers. Well, not hecklers. Toastmasters call it disruptors. He's gonna have a talker, somebody who talks about a lot and gives their own opinion, whether it's wanted or not. There's gonna be an interrupter. There's gonna be a chatterer talking to the person next to him, causing a commotion. And there's gonna be an arguer who's gonna take issue with some of the things Ben is stating. So it'll be a challenging effort on his part, but we look forward to it. And Jeremy has been 2 years, 3 years now?
2 years.
2 years. But I gotta say, as we all know, Jeremy, if not every month, every other month, he's giving a speech for us. So love your dedication, your discipline, and your drive. And you're gonna be our president, so wonderful with that. Jeremy is a commercial relations manager at M&T Bank. And what is do you have a title of the speech, or you're just gonna talk about something?
I'll talk about something, I'll introduce the topic.
Okay, well, join me in welcoming Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you. Oh, shocking, sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Welcome, Toastmasters and new Toastmaster. The talk I'm doing today is quite different than anything you've probably ever heard or seen here at Toastmasters, at least in this club. I'm following the presentation mastery learning path, and I've talked about that a few times in the past, and that helps to contribute to a lot of the reasons why I'm up here so much. I'm trying to work through that. And then I ran into this one, and it's the disruptors. So the talk is entitled Dealing with a Difficult Audience. So unknown to me, our Toastmaster worked out some of the roles that he shared with you in the introduction, and I'll have unscripted interruptions throughout my talk. And I have to try to effectively deal with that while still getting my message and speech across. So I don't know who these disruptors are, so I'm just as interested to find out as all of you today. The actual purpose of my talk is to effectively navigate that, but I do want to try to convey information. And with the April Fool's holiday right around the corner, I thought it would be very fitting to share with you some of my favorite pranks. To put a little bit of context around that, I love pranks. I love the effort and planning that goes into it. I love the creativity. I love the response.
I love too.
Yeah.
I think they're great.
Yeah? Do you have a few that come to mind? A few favorite pranks?
Yeah, when my sister was little, she hated the Wicked Witch of the West, and so I took a tape recorder and taped the music and put it under her bed, and with about 20 minutes of airtime first. And then as she's falling asleep, it kicked on.
Oh, that's so
I heard her
great.
scream.
That's so great, Brian. Stay with me because I think you'll really enjoy the 3 examples that I'm going to share today.
Oh, I hope so.
To put some more context around it, I grew up in a really small town, and I used to work out at a gym that was really tiny. So we probably had 50 to 100 members. Everyone there pretty much knew each other, and we developed really good rapport. The owner of the gym, this guy Ed, he really loved pranks too. So he shared in my appreciation for pranks. And he and another gym member, I'll just call him Dave for the purpose of this talk, used to go at it. I mean, these guys really got back and forth into it. And one time, Ed came to me because he really had to get Dave good. So the first example of the prank is a fake vehicle recall notice. Oh yeah. So what we did is we had Ed put his creative efforts into drafting the letter, and this Dave character, he really loved his car. It was a small Mitsubishi, like a Lancer or Mirage, one of those ones. It was he bought it brand new, so he was very impressed and excited about it. And Ed took his creative approach, drafted this letter, and made up the part that was faulty. It was a faulty magneto. Now, if anyone knows anything about cars, magnetos were early ignition systems. Mercedes developed it in like 1901, and they haven't been used in cars since the 50s or 60s. So that was the first telltale sign that this was a prank. We put that into the letter, and then my role was actually putting together the letterhead and carrying out the fine details of this. So I had Mitsubishi letterhead. I put it on an envelope. For an extra touch, I shipped this letter, this fake letter, to a buddy who was an accomplice who lived in New Jersey, and took the letter to his work, scanned it through his postage machine just to add a little bit of extra validity to it. And then we sent the letter and waited. So it was suspenseful. We didn't know when we would get a result or what would happen. And sure enough, Dave came in and told us what happened. So what did happen was Dave got the letter, didn't call or make an appointment, but he hopped in his car and took off down to PA, took the day off of work, and he was down in near Tonawanda, PA. I don't know where that is, but it seems like it's far from where I grew up, here near Ithaca. So he gets there, shows him the letter, the service techs look it over. Well, we don't know anything about this. They plug in the fake code that Ed crafted in the letter. It's happens. Sometimes we don't know about these recalls. Let's see what we can find out. So they took his car in, looked it over, and it turns out
Couldn't that have been a real safety risk for somebody?
it could have.
I mean, what if it was a valid recall?
Yeah.
I mean, you're putzing around here, this guy spent a whole day off from work to go down there, and
Mhm.
the dealership's probably thinking, you know, what did we do wrong? What about customer service?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
That's kind of a crap joke.
Yes and no. And I agree with what you're saying there. It was pretty crappy. But hold on to that thought because you'll see the payback in the later portion of the
Served
speech.
cold?
I'm sorry,
Was
what was
the
that?
payback served cold?
No, it was not, but I think you'll get a kick out of it. So
Okay.
stick with me. So that's prank number one. Dave hops in his car, heads to PA for a fake recall that the dealership didn't even know. I think the clue should have been faulty magneto, but they got pranked as a cast-off effect of this. So the prank war continues, and Dave gets Ed back, so now it's Ed's turn. Ed again comes to me, and here's prank number two. We decided to kick it up a notch. Sticking with the prank war theme, we decided that a draft notice might be the next step here. Yeah, it got pretty intense. So Dave, I'm sorry, I crack myself up a little bit when I share this story because just the fact that this guy falls for this stuff over and over again. Dave shared with us, because he's an oversharer, that due to his religion, he would identify as a conscientious objector. So that is ripe material for a prankster. And have you guys ever had something like that happen where you're listening for ideas about pranking people and then they just kind of lay it up for you?
Not really, yeah, but I'll have to think about that more this holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely should because it gets really deep and it goes pretty bad really fast. So what happens is there's this another guy who we enlist at the gym for an accomplice. He's a military recruiter for the Army. Dave doesn't know him because they work out at different times, but Ed, the gym owner, and I both knew this guy. We told him what the plan was, and he was all for it. So Ed, again, took to crafting the letter, and he's quite the wordsmith. He came up with a fake logo. Department of War is who sent this out. A clue is the Department of War doesn't exist anymore. That was disbanded in 1947. But for a little extra treat, we took that logo and Ed used his gym corporate seal and embossed it. So it made it look really official, but it's Groton Fitness Center right around this Department of War seal. And then he had the signer of the letter is G. Gordon Liddy as secretary. G. Gordon Liddy, they're snickering over here because he was involved in the Watergate scandal, so clearly not someone that would be sending letters. How are we doing on time?
Hold on there, Cupcake. Let me tell you, partner, I used to work for the President of the United States, Richard Milhouse Nixon. And he was the most honest man there ever was. He's more honest than Donald J. Trump. And I just can't stand what you're talking about. It's all fictitious. You're just making this stuff up. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, Ben, that's exactly the point. So I think you'll really get a kick out of this next part. It doesn't have anything to do with Nixon or presidents, but this fake letter.
Uh-huh.
So the Selective Service, as some of you may know, is where people nowadays have to register with. The guys behind this letter was that due to the Patriot Act, Dave had to come into the recruiter's office and reaffirm his conscientious objector status. So it's essentially revoking that. So Dave, as Dave does, hopped in his car, took off to the recruiter's address we listed. Luckily, we had this guy clued in because he came in hot. He was yelling up and down the recruiter, "This is BS, I'm a conscientious objector, you're disrespecting my religious freedoms." He just went on and on for probably an hour. And then Dave's like, "Hey, aren't we going to say anything? What are we going to do about this?" The recruiter looks up from behind his desk and says, "Ed and Jeremy say hi." So he just sat there and took it for an hour, and that was his response. Dave says to him, "Oh crap." So we got him. We got him once again. It was great. The recruiter corroborated this, so we know both sides of the story, which was perfect. So it brings us to Ed's turn. Dave kind of conceded that, hey, I really can't compete with this level of prankster activity, so I want to recognize Ed. And he wanted to do this because, well, kind of like a tribute to Ed for all of the successful pranks over the years, but also to recognize one of Ed's side skills. You see, Ed takes in birds that somehow find their way into the gym. If they're injured, he tries to rehabilitate them and then release them off into the wild. So we got to thinking, we should present him with an award. So I'll pass this around, and maybe Ben, you can bring this, send it down that way.
Oh.
We called it the Flip the Bird Award in recognition of all of the past contributions and prankster activity. And we memorialized on there with some engravings, some of the names of the birds and the time frame when this happened. We picked a day at the gym when we knew it would be peak attendance, and then we had an announcement. We gathered everyone around, presented Ed with the Flip the Bird Award. So what you can see is what the engraving was, and then the picture of us presenting Ed with the bird being flipped. So that's it. 3 of my favorite pranks in a short order here. No one got hurt, no one's car got impounded or faulty magnetos replaced, no one had to have their conscientious objector status revoked, and we got to flip Ed the bird. Happy April Fool's Day.
Way to go, Jeremy. Wonderful start, Jeremy.
Watch your head.
I'm trying to re-alleviate.
Good job.
That was good.
What an excellent story, yes.
I apologize, I should have known this ahead of time. Was I supposed to start the counter when you first got up there and start explaining, because you?
Yes, I
Okay,
think so.
because that's when I started.
Okay,
'cause
yeah, I
you-
think that's fine.
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if I was supposed to start when you
Yeah.
started telling your story. 'cause
I
you
don't
kinda
think it
went right in
mattered. I
there.
followed the thing, so I tried to speed it up to
Okay,
on task.
okay.
So that way I don't have to give up my credit card.
Oh, I did it backwards.
Was it red first? Okay,
I did it back,
think
yeah.
that kinda
I had
threw
them in order, I'm sorry.
you off a little
Yep,
bit.
no, I'm sorry.
Green, yellow, red, yeah.
I know,
think you
I
saw
did a
red
green,
first
yellow,
and
red
then-
before, and then I flipped it. I'll just
I don't know why I
blame it
looked
on-
at you
blame it
for
on
the
the
time
meds.
too. I was like, how am I doing?
I'll blame
But
it on-
I'm
excellent.
often doing it.
Sorry about that.
Excellent talk, Jeremy, and it was very entertaining, and those are great pranks. And as you point out, nobody gets hurt in it. It's just embarrassing. And you did an excellent job handling the hecklers, the disruptors, kind of approaching them and getting them to calm down, even this guy. It's not always
If I had
easy,
to guess
especially
who
when
you
they're
would
like
have
that.
brought on as a disruptor, I imagined it would have been this guy.
Ben claims to not normally be argumentative, but. And speaking of Ben, he has agreed to give another talk. I guess he went to an area contest, right?
I wasn't gonna talk about that.
You weren't gonna talk.
I could talk about it in general before I start talking about something.
No, that's okay. You're gonna do something completely different. No, you're not argumentative.
Well, if you didn't say the wrong thing, I wouldn't have to correct you.
What will you be
Are we married or
performing
what?
today, Ben?
Is what? Okay, I'm gonna talk about the concatenated order of the hoo-hoo.
Okay, sounds interesting. Join me in
Shall I
perhaps
start?
welcoming Ben to. talk
Okay.
about
Is
that.
that,
Well, at the first word.
okay.
He's got a lot to say.
And
Yeah.
one question, are we doing one evaluator, cause it's still TBD for this, for the.
Oh, well,
Okay.
Joe agreed.
Joe stepped up when he came in. He said,
I-
"Oh, I'll take
I
care of
missed
you."
that. Okay.
Are you coming up to the lectern, or are you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna come up to the lectern.
Okay, all right, well, join me in welcoming Ben up to the lectern for his woo-hoo.
Before I get to the lectern, well, let me shake your hand.
I did notice that.
Okay. Yeah. Before I get there, I've had this in my portfolio for a while. There, don't start the time. But McDonald's was having this bag for a while, and it says as featured on, and it lists about 10 different movies that the McDonald's bag was on. And I thought, what a clever marketing idea for them to publicize that, because I had no clue. I'd watched these movies, I never even knew it.
I smell French fries.
Here's $2 for your evaluation. I expect it to be, spectacular.
I get to keep this?
Yes,
Keep it there.
I collect $2 bills, so I'm sharing it. case I have to write something. I'm ready now. River City Toastmasters, and to those listening throughout the world on this live streaming podcast. I said that because I thought we would be live streaming. Tuesday evening, I was humbled by being presented with an award from the Johnson City Elks Lodge. The Elks Distinguished Citizenship Award. And that helps me because I really have a low self-esteem. But receiving this, now I have to do volunteer work the rest of my life just to alleviate the fact that I might be shameful for my lack of participation. I've been an Elk member for 19 years. Things I do for fun seem simple to me, but seem to matter in my fraternal organization. And the trouble for winning awards like this is you feel you have to keep giving to be worthy of such recognition. I'm in just another animal club, a participant, similar to the Fraternal Order of the Eagles, the Moose Club, the Lions Club, the Sasquatch Hunters of the World, or the Humane Society. But elks are nothing like the Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo. Founded in 1892, spelled H-O-O-H-O-O, the Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo is not an animal club, but their logo is a black cat with its tail curled in a figure 9. Anyone with a phone that has internet access can look up at hoo-hoo.org. One word, HOOO.org. It's an actual organization. And on that their website, you can find their 2024 calendar of events. And the Hoo-Hoo motto is health, happiness, and long life. Don't we all want that? Members are supposed to be in the lumber industry, but to alleviate anybody's problem of wanting that, because who here doesn't want to be a Hoo-Hoo member? I brought an application in case there is anybody who wants to join this actual organization. On April 1st, I'm starting which is not a joke by the way, on April 1st, I'm starting my term as Exalted Ruler of the Binghamton Elks Lodge. I recently transferred from the Binghamton Lodge because their building was our entire building is the size of this room, which you can't do too much. So I wanted to be part of a bigger organization, the Binghamton Lodge. Johnson City can only fit at the maximum 45 people for a dinner. But recently, the Binghamton Lodge had a $20 dinner and comedy show where 90 people were attending and there was room for more. Regular events and economical food menu is available on Tuesdays through Fridays from 5:30 to 8 p.m. And I am particularly fond of Wednesday nights where there's a $10 a dozen wing night. I transferred my membership at the end of the Johnson City Lodge duties as esteemed leading knight. Sounds pretty powerful. By chance, the second meeting I attended at the Binghamton Lodge, I was nominated and elected as the Exalted Ruler, which is like 2.5 minutes after they accepted me as a member, they voted me as Exalted Ruler, which is the same thing as President. Most of the members there and the people in general are reluctant to assume lectern and gavel. One of the hazards of being comfortable with public speaking is people presume you can lead. In humorous speeches, it helps to look funny, so I wore my funny hat. It's as if you had, speaking is as if you had muscles, and people, if you had muscles, people would want you to fight for them. Bring it on, behind the lectern. The comedy improv group I'm in, the new puzzle players, alleviate any possibility that you're going to be afraid of anything because you improv all the time. We're having our the new puzzle players are having our second live comedy show at Theater 4 in the old Cinema Saver building on April 12th, 19 Madison Avenue in Endicott, if ever you want to see Ben be really funny, along with 12 other people. It's unscripted, and like Toastmasters table topic challenges, we use suggestions from the audience to perform a sketch. always something or someone to laugh at. At the end of my term as exalted ruler of the Binghamton Elks Lodge, I hope that my influence leaves the members feeling the motto of the concatenated order of the Hoo-Hoo: health, happiness, and long life. The Orchid Society I'm involved in is having an orchid show at Roberson Museum on April 20th. 20th and 21st. Tonight at 6 p.m., the Orchid Show chairperson will be a guest on my radio show at WHRW 90.5 FM. I may be prejudiced, but orchids are the most beautiful flowers on earth. And for your entertainment, I'm going to read a story I wrote about an orchid and a cactus. Dick Grove the cactus. Deep in the desert, there was a lone cactus, a giant manly one with sticking out arms like spires and dangerous porcupine quills. He was a dangerous looking yet a beautiful specimen. One day a medicine man in a covered wagon came by and carefully loaded him on the wagon to sell in the city. In the shadow of the cactus was a miniature orchid, a delicate, fragile, colorful orchid. She had 3-pronged yellow petals rimmed with an orange fading to red edge. Surely the medicine man knew that without the shade of the cactus, the flower would die in the desert sun. He took her to the city also. In the city's main center, the medicine man set up his wares: snake oil, healing medicine, whiskey, pots, pans, spices, umbrellas, knives, and harmonicas. Passersby had seen those things before, but never such a beautiful orchid. Fancy things were rare in that city, and the women folk marveled at the pretty flower and demanded that their men get it for them. So many were interested in owning the orchid that the medicine man held the first ever auction. Because the cactus was so heavy and no one seemed interested in it, the owner said that people would have to take the cactus if they purchased the orchid. He said they grew up together and they were in love. He told the bidding crowd that the cactus's name was Dicro, which is orchid spelled backwards. He He made so much money on that auction that he never had to work again. And that is a true story. To you, the loyal River City Toastmasters, I pray that you enjoy God's many blessings and feel the warmth of hoo-hoodom, and your life represents health, happiness, and long life. And when you're asked to lead, no is not an option. You are in a place where leaders are made, right here in River City. The application, if anybody wants it.
Thank you much, Ben.
Did you look it up?
Entertaining, yes, I did, and originally, it was, as you said, it was formed in 1908 by, you had to be a lumberjack, you had to be 21 or over, white male, lumberjack. It is now open to anybody over 18 who are of good moral character, sorry, Kim. And are engaged.
I represent that.
And are engaged in the forestry industry, or genuinely interested in supporting the purpose and aims of the order. So I guess you fall into that. And so, great story. I enjoyed it.
How does the $2 play?
That's just to
Depends
buy
on
off.
if it's just your vehicle.
That's to buy off your good,
I see. Oh.
good review.
No, he just wants to keep it fair. That's keep it honest. Anyway, excellent. What our next part is, we do have time, don't we, after those? Yeah, we do have 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes to do our table topics. And our table topics master today is Larissa. Thank you, Larissa.
So when I was coming up with some table topic questions, I had, despite the weather, this idea of spring, since it was the first day of spring, I believe Tuesday. And when I think of spring, I have these ideas of rebirth and renewal. Those are the things that come to mind. And I kind of wanted to keep that as a theme throughout my table topic questions. And the first question, I'd like to address it to Craig, actually. what are a couple of the first signs of spring that you notice, and how do they make you feel?
Okay. Well, probably some of the first signs that I notice are robins, return of them. They're usually bouncing around the yard, and that's a good sign, at least to me, because it makes you feel good that hopefully spring and warm weather are around the corner. So birds are one. Another interesting bird that returns, at least where I am and living in Owego, are turkey buzzards. They're actually a bird that kind of flies around our area and cleaning up the woods, if you will, for dead animals, so to speak. The other thing is certainly daffodils. They're starting to poke up along with some of the crocuses that'll start poking up through the snow. And my son is always asking, well, isn't the snow going to kill them? And I usually tell them, no, they're pretty hardy, that they'll keep blossoming and keep going. So those are some of the initial things that I notice.
That's amazing, yeah. So another thing that I know, at least personally, I do with spring is the spring cleaning. You have this feeling of shelving off all of the things you don't need anymore, or clearing out your space to make room for new things. And Catherine, I'd like to ask you, when do you know that it's time to let something go?
So because of all the pain meds have not
Yes.
alleviated my pain, I'm going to sit and reply. And what was the question?
When
That's due to the meds, sorry.
How do you know when it's time to let something go?
Okay. I love that question because I have been a hoarder, not one that would be on TV where nobody could get in if they needed to rescue me, if the meds weren't working or something like that. But I am a great shopper. I get all kinds of good deals, and having been down for 4 weeks, the phone, I can buy something on HSN, QVC, or Amazon in 57 seconds. I've timed myself. So now, this spring is gonna be a really interesting thing, because I would normally walk around the house in the closet. I would start with the closet, and at the beginning of the year, I turn all the hangers this way, and then when I wear something, I put it back in this way. And at the end of the year, I know that I deserve to get rid of all the clothes that the hangers are still wearing this way. So that's one tip for clothing. The other thing I do is I walk around and see what haven't I used or eaten. I have also a freezer where I tend to put things in the freezer and not take them out. So that's kind of an interesting, I'll look in there and see what looks like maybe I can't remember when I bought it, so it's time to go out. I also know that it's time to get rid of things when I can't get through a particular room, or if I can't find something that I know is in that pile. And if it's not somewhere I can find it, then I believe that it's time to just start with everything has to go mentality, and then really make a good case if I wanna keep something. So that's kinda how I do.
Okay, I'll do maybe one more. So personally, a sign of spring that I have, I know Susan's heard a bit about this during our training sessions, but my boyfriend is a huge football fan, loves football. He's from Pittsburgh, he's a Steelers fan through and through. So a sign of spring for me is that I get a break from football talk every few days, because the Super Bowl happens, in February, and so this is my quiet time for about a month until the draft, and especially college, and I'll start picking up for the summer. But Jake, I have a question for you. My boyfriend's name is also Jake, so maybe it's just in my mind. But why do we idolize professional athletes, and are there any athletes that you idolize?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm not a big sports fan, so actually, I guess it might be an interesting perspective, because I'm not quite sure. I guess idolizing sports or athletes would be obviously a display of being excellent at something. Being the best in anything is something to be regarded highly, and people want to watch that and kind of envision what you could be, what a human can do, what somebody can strive towards, and how they can show kind of, yeah, what the human body can do, like I said, because not everybody can be that good at something fast or jumping high or whatever it may be. But like I said, obviously you can tell I'm not a big sports fan by my rambling answer. But as far as someone who would be someone I idolize in sports, I'm somebody who, I like watching a lot of shooting sports actually, target shooting and things like that. There's a guy named Jerry Michalak, who's one of the fastest shooters there is, and he's an older guy, but pretty interesting, fun loving guy, and man, I'll tell you, sometimes he shoots a rifle and it sounds like it's automatic, so so that would be it.
I think in an effort to try to keep us on time.
We've got four more minutes on
Okay.
our schedule.
We'll do another.
Oh, no, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm
and-
sorry. No, I apologize.
No, that's fine.
Let's wrap it up.
Well, that's wrap it up. Perfect.
All right, I'm gonna introduce from my chair Susan Newcomb, who is our general evaluator, your general evaluation.
When you were talking about things that represent spring, I thought you were gonna talk about the horsetail in your bed.
No, yes.
How you finally have to remove that. That's a story you should give a speech on someday.
I should.
She's got a real horsetail in her backyard. Okay, now is the time that we have the evaluators. So the first evaluator for, I believe, Jeremy's presentation is Jake. Go.
So, I mean, you guys get to hear from me again, which is always fun. Twice in a row. Hi, Jeremy, I think you did a great job. It was difficult, I'm sure, with all the disruptions. I could tell, a little less comfortable than usual, I think, anticipating the disruptions, like awaiting. I felt, towards the beginning, it took a while before there was any disruption, so I kind of felt an anticipation of that. But otherwise, quite comfortable in diffusing them. One thing that I was really impressed by was the chatting and how, because I was thinking, how's that gonna be addressed, without just saying, please quiet down or something like that. You did a good job doing that subtly and very politely, where you just sort of addressed them, kind of walking towards them, brought attention to the chatting without outright saying, hey, can you stop talking, which would have been pretty rude and maybe made the audience turn against you a little bit. I did find it was good that you let people speak when they seemed to want to interrupt, so that you weren't alienating them or making the audience kind of feel like you're just sort of forcing people into listening. And I mean, one thing that I think you really excelled at was I felt that everybody still they kind of wanted the interruptions to go away so they could hear the rest of your story because it was so interesting. Unfortunately, I had to miss a lot of it because I'm focused on not the content so much, and I was focused on how you were handling it. But I will say, one thing, find a way to limit the amount of time. I don't personally know how you would limit that, but a few of the people kind of went on a little long, where, like I said, people wanted to get back to the speech. So it was a good method to try to allow them to kind of just get it out. But if there's maybe a tip or trick that could be figured out to kind of see how we could curtail somebody who might just kind of run off, like Ben or Greg kind of were able to go for a little while. And if there's a method to try to end that quicker, I don't know how that would go without being sort of rude though. So that's difficult. So I guess challenging yourself, I would say just maybe practice it again, just to see any other methods could be tried and practice to be able to just try a couple things out here and see if you can use it in any other ways. But otherwise, I really liked how well you addressed all of it, and just I think the main thing was the professionalism and keeping up that good regard and making sure the audience didn't feel like you were being rude and just kind of cutting everybody off and shutting everyone down. So you did not.
Well, partner, I think he did an outstanding job.
So the presentation mastery
I figured.
gave you how to respond to that. They did not prepare me for this.
Yeah.
I thought you shut me
That's
down.
what I figured, yeah.
I thought you shut me down pretty quick.
No giddy up.
It's not in the
If I
instructions.
went into
video.
another prank I did, it would have challenged you to stop me, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was
Yeah.
a talker.
You were
might be
cooperative.
Yeah. For a while.
So that's the
I should have done.
It is.
Done
And
all of that.
very
I did
fair,
this
I
right.
was definitely anticipating. I didn't know, it's so tough, because you don't
Yeah,
know who it's gonna be and when, and
Uh-huh.
you try to remember where you are.
I was wondering it too.
It was
so I had
uncomfortable.
that same feeling.
Anxiety.
I'm sorry.
Who is the second evaluator?
It's
Oh,
Joe.
Okay, it says TBD.
It's $2
TBD,
richer.
could you please give us your evaluation? Ben?
No, great job, Ben, you always do, and you do a great job of stepping up.
French fries.
Yeah, me too, now I know what the hat and everything was for.
I figured I'd look as funny as I could.
Yeah.
More than normal.
Yeah, but you come right up, you're comfortable, you were humorous before we even got started. I mean, then you just rolled into your speech, so I like that, you would transition real quick. You did a great job of introducing your topic. I think you kept looking up and engaging the audience, which was great. I know you kept my attention, especially when you said, what is your title? Exalted?
Exalted ruler.
I thought there was an exalted mystic ruler, but I thought that was only for the rapper.
Yeah, it could be.
You're old enough, you should remember.
Yeah. Jackie Gleason.
Yes.
Try and prove up.
Yeah, and I love the story, I love the cactus story. I really did. Again, you kept our attention. I think I looked around the room, you kept everyone's attention. And I'll point out too, you always do this and we appreciate it. Fantastic job of promoting the River City Toastmasters groups. I like that. I guess the only thing I could say was maybe walk around a little and try to memorize more of that. I think that's the big thing for you, just memorize that versus reading it.
I did write it at 4:30 this morning.
Yeah.
That's why God invented the last minute.
Yeah.
Well, the cactus story, I had submitted that for the newsletter for the Orchid Society, but
Yeah. Yeah,
the
so
rest of
those
it
are-
was made up.
Yeah, really, those are the only two things. I mean, yeah, just fantastic job again. Good job.
You've earned your $2.
I did.
Okay, our next evaluator is Catherine, she's gonna tell us how we all did with timing.
Thank you. So Jeremy, 10 to 12 minutes, including all the disruptions, and you did great. You're right at 11:17. You couldn't even get faked out with my showing you the red one first. You passed that test with flying colors. Ben, I'd like your credit card number because you did go a little long, I was gonna say 7 hours, 7 minutes and 44 seconds. Entertaining though, thank you. Craig, you went 47 seconds on the table topics. I went 1:37. Of course, I can see, so that's a little cheating. And Jake, you went 1:44. So I think we were in the 1 to 2, and you needed a few more birds to talk about to get to that 1. So that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Our grammarian and word of the days, Craig. Who used it, how did we do?
We did pretty good. Greg started right off using it, and he was alleviating the podium up
Not
there.
successfully.
So that was good. Ben used it, and Catherine used it. So that was pretty good, I think. Sometimes I always forget to use it throughout the speech, whatever you're doing. So it's never an easy thing to kind of work it in at the spur of the moment. Going through some of the grammar, Greggy did a great job, I thought, with the poem. To me, it's always a gift when you can sit there and just rattle off a poem. Poetry's not an easy thing. So I used to do theater when I was in high school and in college, and memorizing lines is one thing. but doing poetry and the delivery and the cadence is a whole nother, I think, science almost. And you can do that, so I think you did a great job there. Jeremy, I think you did a fantastic job on the speaker. A couple of things I think that broke cadence was, yeah, during the interruptions, when you responded back to them. And I think part of that too might be, and I don't know the training on it, but I could see where you would allow the person to speak to kind of diffuse the situation. And to get back on topic, you're going, yeah, kind of thing, is acknowledging what they're talking about on that, whoever the interrupter may have been, or whether it was a conversation going on. Good use of visuals and a good story. I think when you were talking about it, it was good for us to, you brought us there in terms of the subject matter. We could kind of all see, okay, here's the document he was talking about, the raised seal, those sorts of things on it. So I think you did a great job. Ben, there was a couple ahs you had, especially when you were repeating some of the orders of the various organizations on that. And I think that was probably just because, again, if you wrote the speech this morning at 4:30, you really didn't have a chance to practice it. Right. Because you kind of were practicing as you were writing it. So you were kind of cramming in those sorts of things on that. So I think that was a couple of things there on that. Going down through the let it go speak on with regards to the table topics, it was kind of like the way that the usage was going through, like just let it go kind of thing. I think when you were doing the table topics, in terms of the verbiage.
I'm sorry, I kind of lost what the comment is.
Well,
when I was doing my own table topics, or when I was.
Yeah, when you were doing, I think when you were doing the table topics, when you were introducing it type of thing, your table topic, when you were talking about it, and you said let it go, and just the way that you verbalized letting it go was kind of was an odd spot in the sentence structure on that. And Jake, you were talking about sports, and you said I'll tell you. It was kind of the kinda I'll tell you, those sorts of verbal cues when using the language. It's not complete, on a sentence structure on that. So anyway, that's my story.
You did a great job. We're not going to alleviate the responsibilities.
Yeah, boom.
Okay.
The tickets that are out there.
Gina.
Oh, yes.
Hi. So we'll start with Joe. He spoke twice, and really, in all honesty, you were fine. Just a couple of ahs in the second go around when you were doing the elevator. Did I just say that? All right, we're moving on. Greg, you had a lot of ahs, but really, otherwise, one pause and like a well. You did really well, truly.
For me,
yeah. Jeremy, there really wasn't anything. I mean, I put down one ah and one well, and I was like, the other ahs that I was hearing, I felt like they weren't add-ons, that they were appropriate. So I just didn't mark them down. Let's see. So Ben, all right, Ben, you didn't have a lot of practice, and it showed. A lot of ahs, a lot of repeats or pauses that were happening. So that was really it. So again, I think it was just more like you weren't prepared, and it was coming through. Larissa did fine, and well, no big deal. Craig, no issue. Catherine, one okay. Jake, you had a lot of ahs.
Yeah.
In both case scenarios. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay? Susan, I couldn't hear anything, so you were fine. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Take that back. I'm going to alleviate the responsibilities. I hate to do that. Right now, Lisa is going to give us the results of who won the table topics.
Oh, table topics. That's what we're voting on?
Yeah.
Oh.
You were welcome to vote, but I think it's a bit of a landslide.
Right.
No, I put Jeremy down. I thought it was just.
Our table topic top vote was for Catherine's speech.
Okay, just a quick wrap up remarks. This is a great meeting. It's nice to see so many of us here. The one thing I want to comment on, and have to hold myself to this, we're very fortunate, it's always the same two people speaking. Greg, you speak a lot. I need to step up. Everybody needs to step up, I think. That's why we're here. And this is a very good place to learn that process of stepping up and getting used to speaking in front of people. But I thought it was a great meeting. I thank you for coming, even though you can't get up. But let us know how it goes with those pain meds.
Yeah, well, today, I didn't take any this morning, so I think that's affecting me, I don't know how many ways. Red is green, green is red, I don't know.
I think everything went really well. It was a great meeting. And this must be yours. This comes from the New York
Yeah,
State Elks, one of those
that's
animal
mine.
clubs.
That's mine, yeah.
So you left it up here at the podium. But
Okay.
great
I wonder
meeting.
where it went.
Great meeting. We have a meeting coming up in April, and I'm going to challenge myself to be one of the speakers. I haven't done it in a while, so
All right.
here we go. And I think we're going to turn it back over to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Susan. Good job evaluating. Good job, everybody in their roles today. Let's echo Susan that it was a great meeting. And I think do you have anything to
I do.
address?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Bring up a couple things.
All right. Thanks for coming today, and we'll have Joe send us off.
Yes, thanks again, it was a great meeting. Larissa, you're Jake.
Yes.
Does he pay attention to the spring football?
He actually doesn't. That's the one break I get.
Well, yeah, I saw that, even me, I love football, oh no, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, you just can't get behind it.
Peggy just wanted me to remind everybody too, our dues are due. I need to go on myself and go online and pay those, is all. And again, thank you, Jeremy, for stepping up, being our president in a couple months. That's great. And then some of the other officer roles have to be, we need people to step up. I know, Susan, you wanted to step away because you've done that 3 or 4.
3 or 4
quite a
years,
few
yeah.
years. So I'm happy to grab that role too.
Okay.
All right.
You can get ghosted.
Huh?
You can get ghosted. People
Yes,
respond to you and they never show up.
I'm used to it.
Although
I'm in sales.
Ben was one of my recruits.
I
Me,
was.
me too, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I take that back.
I was.
Yeah, you're quite the closer.
Yeah, you are. Yes, and Catherine and Larissa, right? So you guys.
Well, that was, she owes me, so.
She does. So I might be coming to you for some tips and some help.
Hey, Joe, one thing.
Yes.
So we have an opportunity that Ben actually helped to uncover on Speechcraft. It's something that we've tried to promote before, or Peggy's tried to promote. It's basically a mini Toastmasters program designed to take out to the field or bring into an organization to teach them basically a Toastmaster prepared presentation style. It condenses all the learnings of Toastmasters into a few-week session. And the American Red Cross is interested in training up some of their volunteers. I'm on the board, and I think you know the executive director through Rotary. Okay. And Catherine's a volunteer in American Red Cross, so if there's anyone else, feel free to reach out to me. We're going to try to put together a Speechcraft program for the Red Cross.
That's right.
So the club would pay for it, it's $50, but then they give it back to us.
Yes, that's great. Okay, very good.
Joe, could we also, remember last year you arranged for, what was it, the BLI?
Yes.
Did that a couple years.
So the mentorship program, they reach out usually, it's usually in May, I think.
Okay. Because that was another excellent.
I think they're almost done. I was just on a call with the chamber this morning, and I think they only have, they're right at their end of the.
No, they're done,
Done, except for-
their graduation is next
Coming up.
Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
And the head of BLI, Rose Olson, wants to join our club.
Ooh.
Or at least she wants to come to a meeting and decide. But it conflicted with BLI, where our Thursdays conflicted. So now that it's done, we'll at least
What was
pick
the
her
thing
up.
we did at the holiday, see, I'm the interrupter. What was the thing we did at the Holiday Inn?
That
That's
was
where I
the-
recruited.
That was the
Melissa.
young professionals.
Okay.
Summit, youth summit, YP summit.
Yeah. That was a great opportunity for us too.
Maybe we could do that again.
Okay.
Well, good. Speaking of American Red Cross, my wife gets after me all the time. I have a rare, what's the rare O negative blood? And I don't donate because I had it once where my son had, when he was born, he did have a soft spot, so I had to give pints of blood, and I got so sick. Of course, I was glad to get sick to give him my blood, but I haven't done it since, so she's been after me. So one of these days, I'm gonna.
As a Red Cross volunteer at blood drives, I would encourage you to try it again. You could always go to the Red Cross office it's over by the mall on Harriel Drive, and they have decent phlebotomists, and you could ask for the best phlebotomist when you get there. I hate needles, I mean, I cry.
That's my problem, Catherine. Yeah.
But the fact that you're saving somebody's life and it can take 30 to 45 minutes, that's.
My wife is.
And free food afterwards, you get free food and snacks.
Yeah, she's on.
Free
So
food?
I said, if you go hold my hand.
I'll hold your hand if you go. Seriously, it's a huge need, just
It
to
is,
plug
I know it is.
helping to save people's lives, something that regenerates it.
All right, well, thanks everybody.
Thanks, everybody.